A story about a city called Lamka where God's faithful servant delivered God's message because the city was filled with social injustice, where homeless beggars on the streets are ignored and despised, a city where workers toiling in harsh conditions are oppressed and the poor are ignored while the wealthy live in luxury. However, because of God's faithful servant, a revival broke out that brought back social justice amongst the people. A bustling city street, filled with people going about their daily lives. It is a city where wealthy and power reign, a place where there is no justice, a place where the poor are oppressed, a place where there is no equality. Homeless individuals on streets, homeless and hungry beggar, invisible to many, strands at the margins of our society. His plea for help drowned out by the clamor of everyday life. In the shadow of our affluence, his outstretched hand reaches out for compassion, yet too often met with indifference. Workers toiling in harsh conditions. In the relentless heat of the sun and the biting cold of the wind, there exists a worker toiling tirelessly to earn his livelihood. Day after day, he pours his sweat and blood into his labor. His hands, calloused and worn, bear the scars of his sacrifice, but his spirit remains unbroken. Despite the harsh conditions he faces, his only desire is to provide for his family and secure a better future. But alas, even his rightful wages are withheld, a betrayal of trust that adds insult to injury. The wealthy living in luxury and ignored the poor. In the big world where some folks have a lot, there's a story that shows how different lives can be. There's a rich dad living in a big fancy house who doesn't notice the struggles of those who don't have much. He's got everything he needs, but he doesn't see the widow who's all alone and struggling to get by. Then there's this widow trying her best to make ends meet, but it's tough. She's barely scraping by and nobody seems to notice. She's just trying to keep her head above water, you know? Here's where things get really mixed up. This rich dad, he's got a kid who's kind of spoiled, used to getting everything he wants. And he's got this friend who's in a really bad place, caught up in some serious stuff. But instead of ignoring him like he does with the widow, the rich dad steps in and helps out. It's like he's got a soft spot for his kid's friend, even though he doesn't seem to care much about anyone else who's struggling. It's a strange world we live in, where some folks get all the help they need, while others are left to fend for themselves. But maybe, just maybe, if we all paid a little more attention to each other, we could make things a bit better for everyone. Then the word of the Lord came through his servant. God's desire for equality and justice among his people is rooted in his love and compassion for every individual. In the book of Amos chapter 5 verse 24 it says, "But let justice roll on like a river, righteousness like a never-failing stream." This verse reminds us that justice and righteousness are not just ideals, but essential components of God's character and his vision for a fair and compassionate society.
This is what the Lord has said. You people, God wants justice. The rich people become wicked. Listen, you Israel people. You Israelites, you had the one who want to correct you. See, God will put judgments upon you all. God is now declared and God is calling you. It's the high time. And if you don't proclaim God and if you don't repent, God will put judgments on you. God wants justice. You have to repent today. You have to change your mind. You have to think over it. Do not worship the idol. You have to think with the one who brought the answer. Now is the right time. Behold, God is calling you today. Let's repent. Let's repent. Repent. Let's repent.
And so everyone repented through the message delivered by God's servant. People asking and forgiving one another, justice prevails.